Okay, let's segue into this. You mentioned your husband almost in passing, but you wasn't married to a regular dude.
No.
You're married to a prize fighter. Not just a prize fighter, but he literally was a cruiserweight boxing champion.
Mm-hmm. Light
Mr.
heavyweight
Ernest Mateen.
also.
For anybody who is a boxing fan, they know him as M-16 Mateen. How did y'all meet?
So we were managed by Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. We all had the same management at one time. And that was the guy, the white
Here's
man.
Queens again.
Queens. The white man that played
Here's
Beaker.
Queens.
The white man that played Beaker in the Fat Boys movie. Remember that white dude? He was literally an industry guy for real. And he was our manager back then. And Ed Lover used to host Caroline's Comedy Club, maybe on Wednesdays or something like that. And he invited me to come out. I went out, I'm hanging out with Ed. He pulls me up on stage to sing some little ditty real quick or whatever. And Ernest, my husband, was in the audience with his homeboys. Had on a zoot suit, hat, gold tooth, and hazel contact lenses. Blue contact lenses. And I mean, he dark as this table, okay? With the blue contact lenses, but he looking good. I didn't know he was a boxer. I don't know. And it so happened, Talent the comedian was there, and he performed that night, and he was somebody that was pursuing me. So he was there trying to get my attention, and then this dude that I didn't know threw money at me on the stage. And I was like, okay. So I collected the money, I went, sat down, he comes over, and I think he coming to, shoot his game or whatever. So he comes over and he's like, I see you what was that? What was that you were eating? I was like, oh, my vitamin C tablet. He was like, yeah, can I get one? And I was like, sure. And I gave him one. He was like, thank you, and walked off. I was like, oh, this is what we doing. Okay, it's on. So now I take the money, I fold it up real nice, put it all face up, and then I walk over to his table with him and his homeboys, and I say, okay, thank you so much. I'm good, sweetie poo. And I gave him that. And then I walked out. Of course, he had to get up, and and the chase was on. So, and it's funny because I liked Talent already. I knew him, but Talent was stinky drunk that night, and I can't do a drunk man. I never was into So I was like, let me see what this dude talking about. So we started talking. He let me know he was a boxer. I was like, okay, and we started dating, and that's how we met at Caroline's Comedy Club. Crazy.
How about that? Wow. And I'm just curious because dating a fighter, that's very different than dating somebody who works 9 to 5. Like some of the best prize fighters in the world, what makes them great is they come from very, very difficult beginnings.
Yeah.
Like it's rough, but those rough beginnings and that aggression, it's what allows them to be great in the ring.
Yeah.
They're used to taking pain.
Yeah.
They're used to dishing out pain. What was the attraction? Were you just I guess you could take from. I want to know what was the attraction there for you.
So again, when I met him, I didn't know he was a boxer, but this is a guy that actually went to college. He graduated from like Brooklyn Community College or something. So he's an intelligent man. But he definitely was a boxer. He definitely was more of a hustler. I thought when I married him, I thought I married a boxer that hustled a little bit. I found out I married a hustler that boxed a little bit. Okay? So he was a hustler from Brooklyn that found out that boxing could be a dope-ass hustle for him, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
But his father was a boxer, so he came to it naturally. But he wanted to play basketball. He said his father forced him to keep up the boxing thing. So, that was interesting. So, we bonded over a few things. He treated me very well. I wasn't a person to really date hustlers, date street guys and stuff. I when I was in high school, I think I dated like one dude, and he used to leave me at his mama's house while he'd be slinging on the block. That wasn't fun for me. I'm a girl that travels all over the world and stuff. Like, I want to sit in your mama's house waiting for you to, and then take me shopping. Like, that wasn't it for me. So I hadn't done much of that. So this guy, he was nice to me. I was grown now. He's taking me shopping. He's doing this. He's, buying my mama stuff. I'd never been treated like that. I'd never dated these money guys and stuff like that. So, and I've been traveling. I've been touring. I've been overseas and doing all this stuff, after high school and then, my college years in and out of the country and just touring and making money. So I didn't have a lot of time to date, and, meeting him and him just, acting like he was so gaga. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, cool. And he was handsome, he was a tall, dark, drink of water, with beautiful, beautiful, perfect teeth. Like, perfect.
Wow. You mentioned that y'all had a son together.
Yes.
What kind of father was he?
Okay, so this was a complicated man, okay? He was a boxer, and he was also a Gemini. So if anybody there you go. My publicist, if y'all can see my publicist's face when I said he was a Gemini, okay? And, ladies that date these Geminis, God bless us, because they, they're interesting. They say each person has 2 people in them. So obviously a Gemini got 4, right? Because they already a twin, So you're dealing with 4 personalities. And, I loved all 4, but I want to say, I'm going to say this. The man had mental health issues that I did not know about until he passed away. And I really believe in my heart, had I known about them and knew that he was supposed to be on meds and stuff, I would have done everything to make sure that he did that, and I would have been watching for this and, and not that I didn't know he had violent tendencies when I married him, I did. But he and I thought were in better place. I never thought it would have gotten to where it did get, And that's why, I'm an advocate for domestic violence awareness. And, I speak now about recognizing the signs and not just seeing them, but acting on it like your life is in dagged danger. You know what I'm saying? Just like you ain't gonna stand in front of a moving car and just be like, well, I hope that it sees me and move. No, you're gonna get your ass out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But maybe the person might have seen you. Maybe they might have seen you, but maybe they wouldn't. But you're gonna get out the way either way. You're not gonna just wait and see. But it's like we'll wait and see with these men, And that's not just men. I know men get hit on too. So, but we'll wait and see when there's love there, when you want to be with the person, when you know their background, their history, so kind of why they're angry, and you want to be there for them and everything. Shout out to Mita Laylock. She was Zab Judah's ex-wife. We down here in Atlanta too.
What up, Mita?
Yeah, that's my good friend. She's on Love and Hip Hop now, doing her thing. We talked about this stuff. Zab put hands on her before, and it's a thing. It's an issue. A lot of because they're violent and they make their living being violent. It's a lot in there mentally that's going on. But yeah, man, it was bad, and it was. We were great, and then we were terrible. Like in the early days, we were great.
Before you go forward, because I really want to know what type of father was he? Like I understand the relationship between you two.
He was a good father. He was a good father. He wasn't a typical father. You're talking about a man that he never really worked a job because he was a boxer. He was a sports person. So. We weren't 9-to-5 people, but he was a good dad. He spoiled his son. He loved his son to death. He has another child, a grown son, from his first marriage. And he was 6 when me and Ernest met. And he wasn't a great father to that boy until I got into his life. He and the woman were not doing well. And because of that, he wasn't reaching out to that boy and doing things. And I said, no, that's your son. We're going to, if you're gonna be with me, he gonna be with us. We gonna be messing with him. So we would pick him up, we take him shopping. My mother became like his surrogate grandma. He went down to Virginia to stay with my mom, his son, even before I had our son. You know? That's how much I embraced that. So he learned from that situation to be better. You know? So with my son, he was a really, really good father, you know? But he would have his mood swings. He would have outbursts, but he never put his hands on Zaire until Zaire was trying to protect me from him.
Okay. And I wanted to know the answer to that question because, and we'll get to how this story concluded later in the interview, but, you know, he sounded like he was a complicated man. And I know you and him, you guys had a very, you know, like you said, it started off very loving, and then everything just went left.
Yeah.
But him as a fighter, you know, was he the type of person who was abusive to his child? Was he somebody who, no, you know what? That's where I draw the line. I love my boy. This is my heart. I spend all my waking moments with him. So it's just interesting to get into his mindset.
Yeah.
But just getting back to you, when did the domestic violence start in your relationship?
So domestic violence is not only putting hands on you, right? It's also your things you say, you know, how you treat a person, things that you say, trying to be controlling. You know, there were little things that I didn't really peep. I had the baby and stuff like that. But I did know his violent tendencies. I know about his outbursts. If you say something a different way, I'll give you one. When we were shooting the video for Miss My Lovin', when I was still pregnant with my son, the director, so my husband, when he walked in the room, nobody else was in it. Like, he was the biggest person in the room, okay? He had a huge personality, and he was a big guy, right? So he would come through the video shoot and distracted a little bit because he would be trying to talk to the director. Hey, man, what you got going on? And, oh, what's up? And can I be in the video? Or what's on? So the director, to kind of get him to, you know, go on, he sent a camera with him and said, yeah, we'll get some footage of you, you know, doing this or that, and told him to go, you know, shadow box somewhere. And the guy sent the camera guy with him or whatever, something like that. And we went on to finish the video. So when the video finished and they sent me the cut, he did not make the cut. And he was very angry. Like, that was the first time since the pregnancy, since I decided to marry him and everything, that I was like, oh shit. Because he came home, he saw the video, and he destroyed our bedroom. He pulled everything out the closet. He broke up the stuff in a rage. You know, I remember being glad they didn't put hands on me, but knowing like, this could be not so great. You know, like, you know, I felt just a person that could do that. I just was like, wow. And for the reason, like, it wasn't your video. You know, like, you box. You know, you're a boxer. It's okay. Oh, that nigga played me. And I get it, as a man, you feel like, you know, he kind of, you know, pushed you up, but you were being overbearing. You were being pushy. You know, you got to know that. So, yeah, he didn't know that. Yeah. Wow. So those, so stuff like that would happen. And I'd be kind of like, ooh. And I'm an only child. I don't have brothers or sisters, and he knew this. And I feel like, you know, when his career kind of maybe started not being so good, because remember I told you he approached it as a con, which he approached a lot of things. So, I mean, this is a lot of head-butting on purpose and ear biting and different things to win or not have to finish the whole fight and different things, because his heart never was in the boxing.
You know something? I'm a huge boxing fan, so I'm very familiar with Ernest Mateen. And I remember you just, wow, what a great conversation. He fought James Toney.
He did.
And I want to say it was the 5th or 6th round. He literally was headbutting, hit him in the back of the head, did all of the stuff you just said, and the legendary referee disqualified him. Literally disqualified him in this huge fight. And I'm like, why would he do this?
Right.
And now I get the answer that this wasn't random. It wasn't just that he, was out of control. He approached it as a hustle, and this was his way out.
Right, because he didn't really want to get hit too much. He didn't really want to, you know what I mean? Like James Toney will knock your block off and put you in the hospital, right? So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he'd rather not get hit. He'd rather, He was no slouch. No, he had some great wins. He beat John Sully. Me and Akinelli were at that fight. Akinelli brought him in for that Scully fight. So we were a power couple. Okay, in the early '90s, and late mid '90s, and early 2000s, we were out here. We were everywhere. Everybody knew us. Diddy. We had our baby shower at Justin's for free. Diddy gave us Justin's for free. You know what I mean? And it was a wonderful baby shower. So, shout out to everybody from that era, man. We was doing it big, man. I missed the '90s. I'm sorry. Woo!